Okay, my screen is shared, it's recording. We'll just go ahead and get started. So hi everyone, thank you for all being here. We're happy to have you here at Lubbock GIS Day 2020. We're very excited to have everyone that's here today, and it's going to be so much fun. Later today, we're going to be hosting a live real-time data collection event at the cemetery using the ESRI Collector app. Lubbock has a long history of producing servicing men and women for our nation's military, and many of these brave individuals are interred at the Lubbock City Cemetery, but their headstones are kind of hard to find. So we're going to go out and fix this and find them so that way others who want to come and honor them can do so. We'll be doing this not only just to honor their services, but we're going to be utilizing our GIS skills to produce some public good. We're going to be using the Collector app, and we'll be able to collect data in real time across a multitude of devices, allowing us to see areas that some people have already done and areas that still need to be accomplished. And we did this last year, and it was amazing. We collected over 300 headstone locations. So I'm challenging everyone to do, we're going to find even more this year. Also, this is important for those who are going out to the cemetery. Make sure you download the app before you go out, because Wi-Fi is not downloadable worthy out there. So make sure you download it before you go out. And because we don't want anyone missing out on the fun just because they didn't have it downloaded. And it's for free, so just look up the ESRI Collector app. And for that person, you know, like anyone can do it as long as you have a phone and you can press the buttons, you're good to go. So just go out and have some fun. But first, we're going to start off GIS Day with some presentations. We're very proud to have several wonderful presenters, and they're going to be talking about a whole bunch of different topics throughout the GIS field. Each presentation is about 15 to 20 minutes long and will cover a whole bunch of ranges of GIS related topics. All our presenters are distinguished members of their field, and we like to give them a much deserved thank you for participating. Without their knowledge and without their willingness to share it, this event would not be possible. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for helping this happen. So we'll go ahead and get the show started, and I'm excited to introduce to you Bill Hodge. He is a GISP and the Executive Director of the GIS Certification Institute, which is the nonprofit that provides GISP recognition. He has been serving in this position since 2013, and he'll be presenting on the certification from a student's perspective. Please join me in welcoming Bill Hodge. Turn it over to you.
Thank you. Let's get the screen share coming and see if we can make this work. Hopefully you are now looking at a full screen of my presentation, Sarah, and I'll let you confirm if that's not the case.
Yes, I can see it.
Welcome, folks. I'm Bill Hodge. I'm a GISP. I'm a tech graduate from '72, and that experience in time was when I went through. The chemistry department was just being finished in terms of its new building. So that gives you an indication of how much time has settled and how many eons have passed since I went through. What we're going to do this morning is take a quick virtual tour of certification. We're going to walk a little bit down the yellow brick path road. So put on your red shoes, click them twice, but we're not going to leave Texas. We're going to talk about certification as a whole, and we're going to talk and visit a little bit more about the GISP, the certification that we provide. GISCI is an institute. We were organized and implemented in 2003, became an official entity in 2004, and we exist and started our existence only to administer the GISP professional certification. It was launched by ESRI, the premier geospatial organization that works with GIS. They're over 50 years old. When they put the portfolio together, they determined that it was time for some kind of professional certification. At that point, an exam was not a real possibility because GIS was still in its infancy. The curricula weren't nearly or as concentrated as they are today, and a number of other factors kept us from moving, but we started with the portfolio. We will talk about that and the process. But before we do, I want to give you an understanding of what certification is. There is a difference between certification and licensure. Licensure is what happens when you are a professional regulated by the state. The medical society, lawyers, surveyors, all of these have a much greater hold and import in life, death, and monetary situations. So the legislature controls what takes place with those. What we're going to talk about in the geospatial world are voluntary certifications, which you as a professional, now or sometime in the future, may decide to add to your individual resume as an outside confirmation of the skills that you have. But within geospatial, as with any other profession or organization, certification follows a very prescribed path, sometimes short and sometimes long. It always starts with an idea. That idea generally has a technical foundation that becomes important either from a monetary standpoint, from a job standpoint, from helping to answer questions that could not be used otherwise, and it develops and takes hold and expands to become an industry. Once a number of people have started working in it, once colleges and universities have started adding curricula so that people can graduate with that particular skill set, then it becomes a profession. And in any profession, sooner or later, certification, which is essentially some organization steps up and for whatever warrant, and we'll talk about what gives our certification that foundation here before the presentation's over, we become the equivalent of the Betty Crocker housekeeping seal of approval for a person's geospatial skills. You may be surprised that there are over 1,600 types of certifications. 17% of the civilian non-institutional workers hold some kind of a certification. So you're going to be in good company if you choose to decide to work with one. You will have 4 options available to you. And generally, if you're a student at the moment or a very young professional, these will not be available to you because there are some prerequisites necessary, some more than others, but they are all available as a choice for you as you pursue your geospatial skill. A quick assessment. If you find yourself into remote sensing and photogrammetry, and that becomes the most serious skill set you possess, you want a certification from ASPRS. They own the remote sensing field. Use them as your top standard. If you're working in the military and you get your training there and you will continue to work in the military with some kind of lifelong ambition, or you're moving into the government sector in DC or as a subcontractor in the defense industries, you want a GeoInt certification. This is a geospatial core with an intelligence contribution in terms of analysis, different than what we see from our software world. If that's the area you're going to work in, you will want it as your primary certification. If you're working in an ESRI shop, as still most of the world is doing, because that's still the most used software in existence, an ESRI certification. They have 3 levels that work with a desktop, developer, or enterprise, and they have subsets of each of those. That is a very important certification to consider. What you need to understand there is that it is a third-party assessment of your skills within the ESRI software environment. Just because you are a competent ESRI expert may or may not mean that you have a full understanding of what the back end of the software is doing. There's a great deal of automation in that powerful ESRI software. The more you understand about GIS and not just the buttons in terms of what ESRI does, the more you can get out of that software and apply it to your job. We come now to ours, the GISP. This is the broadest skill set measured against in the geospatial world. We are software agnostic. It doesn't mean that we consider software skills with a particular ESRI or open source software to be unimportant. It's just that we don't test through the software. We test with the fundamental understanding of what you're doing, why you're doing it, regardless of the software that you're working on. Last comment before we move forward. If you're working in a pure academic field in R&D, you will find quickly that professional certifications of these types will not be nearly as important to you if you stay in that academic world as will your degrees and the other criteria, publish or perish, that the academic community uses. But if you move into the private sector, and if you're looking for a job with a consulting firm, many private areas that work in GIS that may not even be GIS firms overall, healthcare field, working in environmental science, working with archaeology, all these have adopted GIS as a part of the skill set that they found valuable for their employees to have. You will find that some geospatial certification will serve you in good stead. The quick advantages are that you become instantly recognized in the industry because of the acronym that you carry. It provides a third-party confirmation. You don't have to go around saying, hey, look at me, here's what I've done. All you have to do is sit quietly and let the acronym speak for you. And it will differentiate you very quickly from your fellow professionals that aren't quite as deeply versed across the broad range, or it will help differentiate you to the group that you desire to be a part of. Active history, in terms of the program, we have registered in our lifetime over 10,500. At the moment, those that come into the exam to get certified, 50% of those individuals are coming from the consulting world because consulting firms value certification in their employees, and it serves to help them differentiate themselves from other consulting firms to their clients in putting together candidates. Within government, you will find that government doesn't always, or depending upon the organization, they don't always value or promote individual workplace development. Many of those coming in from the government field are doing it for their own recognition and their own self-satisfaction, or in those few instances where the government agencies do provide some assistance, they're moving their way through the organization. But many in the government field are looking forward to moving outside into the private sector at some point. In academia, we've enlarged the scope over the last decade, but again, it remains a smaller group. Students are still a very small part of the policy and the process, because to get a GISP, you have to have 4 years of full-time employment in a geospatial field. Many students aren't even aware of certifications. So the fact that you're on this call and looking beyond what you're normally doing in the classroom is kudos to you, because you are now beginning to differentiate yourself among the elite, even with your colleagues and peers, in looking at something that will enhance your career and moving forward. Before we get into the exam, which is going to be the heart of the operation and the most difficult thing for you to look at in the future, a quick comment in terms of the requirements. By the time you have your GISP approved, 3 things will have happened. You will have taken a look at the ethics statement, and we recognize that ethics is a very strong part of the profession from the time that you're a student to the time that you retire. You will acknowledge that as a fact. You will have submitted an online portfolio, which consists of a snapshot of your education and what you've gone through, the experience to prove that you have the 4 years requisite, and contributions, which we call, well, the other way around. These are networking capabilities, your access and participation in the field that you've chosen, geospatial in this case. We call that contributions because it's a measure of giving back to the community. Whenever you attend a conference and present at that conference, whenever you have participated in GIS Day like you're doing here, whenever you join an association or a local user group, you are participating with your professional peers, those with you, those above you, and you are contributing to the industry, and we consider that a very important process. You are certified for a 3-year period, and then you are recertified every 3 years. The concept we use is very much like that in engineering or the other required certifications. There are continuing education credits that they are required to accrue in order to keep their license. we've used the same concept in the certification. Every 3 years, there's a certain amount of education that you will show us that you've continued with, a certain amount of networking and capabilities for the contributions, and you move forward in that regard. The first year that you're certified, if you checked all of those boxes and finished it, it would cost you $450. Beyond that, starting in the second year of your certification, you will pay $95 per year for every year that you continue to be a GISP. That's the entire fee process. Now we come to the exam. I mentioned earlier the exam was added roughly 5 years ago because the industry had reached the point where we could put an exam together based upon those skill areas that a GISP used. When we put the exam together, we used the GISP community as the definition of what skill sets GISP used. It made a great deal of sense to us then. It's been confirmed in the 5 years that we've administered the exam and upgraded it once since that is the perfect value. You want to become a GISP. There are a certain number of GIS domains that are used regularly by GISPs that are not used by other GIS professionals as regularly. So that is the exam that is being measured. To prepare for the exam, the first thing you're going to do is self-assess. No one knows what you know and what you don't know better than yourself. We've given you a couple of tools to look at and to help that self-assessment as you move forward. And there's no time like the present to start looking at what you know wherever you are in your degree plan or your professional life. You look at the exam blueprint, which is our highfalutin term for an exam description. Every item we write, every question we put on the exam comes from the 45 skill knowledges and capabilities, KSAs as we call them, that are covered by the exam. We've divided those into 10 practice areas that I'll summarize in a moment. You go through that, you determine what you know versus what you're unfamiliar with. That becomes your first level of self-assessment with 2 groups. We have introduced a new official practice exam, which is a light version of the real exam. We've taken 50 retired questions, put them up. We give you instant online access for a $30 fee. You have the opportunity to take the exam twice, 1 hour time to period, and when you finish, you will get an instant overall score, and you will get a report on those 10 content areas, which helps you to define the knowledge gap. That's really what you're looking at. You want to know what you know now, what you have to know to reach the knowledge level of the GISP exam level, and the gap between those two is what you're trying to fill in so that you'll know what you have to study for and acquire. These are the 10 content areas that have proved the foundation for GISPs wherever they work in whatever industry around the world. Not every GISP uses every skill set every day, but they use these in a measured way and frequently enough so that they have been included as a part of that skill set. The exam blueprint, a PDF document that's available online, breaks these 10 areas into the specific subsets. Each one of them is delineated here, and what you have the opportunity to do are take those specific terms, look them up, look deeply into the domains to figure out where you need to go and what you need to work on. The practice exam is found on our website, and it is an outstanding tool to give you a confirmation of the assessment that you've gone through. Coming to the end, I'm just about to move out of the way, but a quick note, here are some results of what has happened with the exam that's been in effect over the last 5 years. We give it twice a year, in early June and in early December, and we're coming upon our fall session. We've reached 60% passing rate for the first-time takers. This is an indication below of the education that the folks coming into the GISP have. Very few have less than a bachelor's, but they have those that have an associate's will generally have a fair amount of experience on top of it. Essentially, the knowledge you bring from your education plus the knowledge you have from your experience constitutes that level of knowledge you bring to the exam. And once you do your knowledge gap, now you have to define what's left to get you to the point where you can successfully prove that you know the 10 content areas well enough to pass, and you have to decide how you're going to acquire that information. You have a real advantage over me. When I started 20 years ago, I had no knowledge of GIS, simply a chemistry from Tech, master's in theology from SMU, but I started with the ESRI software platform, became an expert button pusher, let Penn State help me with both a GIS certificate and further work in a master's. So if I can do that, you certainly can achieve the level that you need. Here's an indication of, we talked about those, the passing rate of the 60%. The graph you see here is the performance score for those 40% who have failed on average overall. The passing rate, or the passing score is 73. You need to hit that overall. You do not have to pass in every content area, but you can see that the professionals coming through have a quite serious knowledge base. They are quite good in the fields that they do. If you don't have a GISP, there's absolutely no one that can tell you that you are not a GISP, or I'm sorry, if you do not have the certification, no one can accuse you of not being a professional. This is proof enough that the potential candidates coming in, even though they failed the exam, are highly qualified in the jobs in the area that they're doing. The only thing that we do is prove that a person has skills at the upper level range, and they have exceeded those of the average GIS professional in the industry. That's an indication of what we're moving forward to. I will leave you in a moment with some advice. It's worth what you paid for it, so keep that in mind as you move forward through your career. One of the first things I would recommend is that you find yourself a presence on LinkedIn if you're not already there. I have been convinced for over 20 years, and LinkedIn has done a great deal of moving forward and becoming more entrenched in the industry through that time. If you want to be taken for or mistaken for a professional, you need to be present on LinkedIn. Employers will look for you there. You are in an excellent position to determine what professional associations are like and what they can and cannot do for you, because you are in a high value position. Students can join associations for next to nothing. Join several. Find one that means the most to you and continue with that. Employers look for that outside continuity. Attend conferences. Do exactly what you're doing here with GIS Day. Employers look for people that are engaged, and whenever you have the opportunity, when the travel restrictions are taken off and you can come back into the field, please go to conferences wherever you can and get all the GIS training you can. Don't try to take the class that will give you the quickest A. In GIS, it is a staged progression, and everything you learn in your course as you progress through your degree, all of that information is going to be useful. You miss a portion of this, you're going to miss a portion of the understanding and your capability later in life. Learn all the way through. Thank you for your time, for your attention. I hope you enjoy not only the rest of the day, what Sarah and the group have put together. I hope you have an outstanding career. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Sarah, I'm going to unshare my screen. Is that appropriate at this point?
Oh, sure. I'll put it on mine real quick. Okay, well, thank you so much for presenting, and it was really good to get a lot of this information in, because I'm super excited about getting mine, and so all of these things to consider. Like, I did not know. It's nice to know like the numbers behind it. Like, this is where I would be amongst this group of people, so it's pretty exciting. So thank you so much. And
the recording is now yours to do with as you please.
Okay.
And I've got some other presentations, so I'm going to bow out unless you have another need for me at the moment.
I was just gonna, would you have a second for if there are any questions, or?
I certainly can. I'll stay around as long as necessary.
All right, well, if anyone has any questions, they can go ahead and unmute themselves or type it in the chat, and I'm opening that right now.
Come on, stump the old guy. I dare you.
I might be opening the chat. Okay. Oh, we're getting a lot of thank yous.
Well, you get a lot of you welcomes back.
So my question is, you said that there's a kind of an education and experience requirement for the GISP.
Correct.
The education level, so I actually got a minor in GIS and my degree is in geology. Do I need to continue education in order to take the GISP, or is it more indicative of how long I work?
Let me ask that, or I'll answer that in two ways. When you complete your degree with your minor, you would meet the point requirements for the portfolio. From a GISP standpoint, the portfolio would not be a problem. A GIS minor may not give you enough skill preparation to hit the exam. And here's what I mean by that. Looking back at think back to the slide that I showed you in terms of the folks and the degrees, the majority of those that are coming in for the exam that pass in that 60% rate have a focus on GIS. Either that is their major, or the folks that have gone for an upper graduate degree and a master's have focused in GIS. A minor in GIS may give you the equivalent of a GIS certificate. A GIS certificate is the minimum starting point you want and will have to have for an entry-level position. So I'll answer the question quickly in two ways. For a GISP portfolio, your education will be adequate. For real competence in the industry, I would strongly suggest that you add some GIS classes if you have the opportunity to do so. GIS classes are like potato chips. One or few are never enough. I hope that helps.
It does. Thank you very much.
We do actually have a question in the chat. Fox is asking if it's possible to obtain multiple certifications at once. Are there, I guess, multiple certifications for GIS or?
Yes, there's no reason that you can't pursue an ESRI certification or multiple of those, that you can't do ASPRS, or that you can't take a GISP. There's no limit from our standpoint. But within GISCI, we only have one. Our single sheep in the field is the GISP.
Okay.
Actually, my answer would be the more the merrier.
He says thank you. Yep.
Be an overachiever. Never let that stop you.
Hey, Bill, I had a question. For the portfolio, how many points, what's the ballpark range of the point requirements for the portfolio?
You will need 150 overall. You will need a minimum amount in each of the 3 content areas. For example, in education, you're going to have 30 points. The key there is to understand that education is divided into 3 categories. You get points for your highest degree, and for a bachelor's, you get 20 points automatically out of the 30. If you have higher than a bachelor's, either a master's or a PhD, you've automatically acquired 25 points. Now you're going to be going in and listing your individual courses, and the rough equivalent, a 3 credit hour course will yield 3 education points. It is very unusual for someone with a bachelor's degree that has either a major or a minor in GIS not to meet the point requirements. The experience comes into a different level. You get so many points per year for the job that you're working at, assuming it's 100%. Those points are reduced if you're working in GIS at a part-time or a less than 100% capacity. You also get different points depending upon the tier. If you're at an entry-level job, you'll get roughly 10 points per year acquired. If you're at a high-level programming database management working at the upper end, you'll get roughly 20 points a year. If you're midway between the two, you'll get 15 points a year. So how many points? It depends. And the portfolio online will show you very quickly, because the points calculator, stop. The website will calculate your points for you as you enter your events, and the points calculator as a part of that will show you exactly where you stand, so you can see your goal, and the website will track you and show you exactly where you are as you move forward. It is not as daunting a process as I have made it sound.
Okay, great. Yes, thank you.
It's not rocket science. Don't try to make it such. And it's not an FBI background check either.
Good to know. Thank you.
All right, I guess that'll wrap up the questions. And thank you again so much for being here with us, Phil, and keep celebrating GIS Day.
All right, y'all, don't forget to have fun. That's the biggest tip I can leave you.
Well, thank you so much. We'll see you later then.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay, so that was an awesome talk, and that's just the first of several. So next, if Ron's ready, let me go ahead and make him host. Are you about ready, Ron?
I am ready. I'm sharing my screen right as we speak.
Okay, perfect. So Ron, he's been a strong supporter of GIS lovers in Lubbock for several years now. He actually presented in Lubbock's first GIS Day 3 years ago, and he's come to talk to us again about SCAUG. He wears many hats. He is a GIS coordinator at the City of Dallas Fire Rescue, and he's also the North Texas representative for SCAUG. And he also spends a lot of time playing golf. So I expect him to see his top five golf course story map soon, because he loves the story map. So I would like to present to you Lieutenant Ronald Vaughn. Give you the floor.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. Well, before I get started, I need to ask everybody a question. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen? Just give me a thumbs up. All right. Okay. Bill did a great job talking about professional organizations if you're trying to get your GISP. And so this is what I'm going to talk about here, and it's what's happening with SCAUG. I know Sarah was talking about getting a user group started out there in Lubbock, and I'm very excited about it. I am your North Texas representative. So I'm going to get right into this. It's not going to be very long, because I know Sarah wants to get back on time, get back on schedule, and Bill did an excellent job. Okay. So what is SCAUG? Okay. SCAUG stands for the South Central Arc Users Group. It is a nonprofit association of professionals using geographic information systems and other spatial technologies to solve challenges in both the public and private sectors at the regional, state, and local levels. Okay. SCAUG is the foremost GIS user group in the South Central United States, because we're promoting the effective use of spatial data, information technologies for the understanding and management of GIS. So pre-COVID, there were currently 912 SCAUG members around the country. Now, I'm going to say this, and hopefully I don't get in trouble for saying this. Oklahoma has us beat by like 20-something members, and so we got a little bet going on every year. It's a Texas OU thing, and I've lost the last 3 years that I've been in North Texas rep, and I don't want to lose anymore. So I'm really, really, really trying to get us past beating Oklahoma. Okay, so the good thing is Texas is broken up into two regions. There's a North Texas region, which I am the person there, and then there's a South Texas chapter, and the gentleman there, his name is Derek Holland. Okay, and this line is based upon the Regional Council of Governments. Okay, so we have the Panhandle region, and SCAUG considers that Amarillo, South Plains, which is where you are, the North Central Texas. Now, North Texas is actually Wichita Falls. Arkansas, Texas, which is Texarkana. East Texas, that's the Lubbock, Longview, Tyler, and Marshall area. Then there's the West Central Texas area, which is Abilene. The Rio Grande, which is closer down, which is actually El Paso, Permian Basin, Concho Valley with San Angelo. Of course, Permian Basin is I don't want to mention that too loud here because I don't want anybody to turn me off. That's the Midland, Odessa area. You got the heart of Texas, Texoma, and Central Texas. So there's my region. So it's pretty spread out. It's pretty vast. I have to cover a lot. And if we weren't doing this virtually, I would have been in Lubbock today. So that's the regions of SCAUG, of the Texas area, I'm sorry. So here are your SCAUG regions. Like I said, there's 4 states, but there are 5 regions. And so one of the things that we've been able to do is whenever we have a meeting in that Artex area over in Texarkana, we get a lot of people from South Arkansas that actually migrates over into that. They want to join SCAUG, and it's kind of a political deal because the people up north want to stay in Missouri. So we'll adopt them because we got members from all over the country. So by joining this professional organization, what do you get? What are the benefits of it? Okay, Ron, if I join your organization, what do I get? Okay, well, SCAUG sponsors subchapters. There's free complimentary online training. There's a 1-year free SCAUG membership to offer for everyone who becomes a new GISP, and I think Bill said the test is going to be in December. You get discounted on special training that comes from Geospatial and Teach Me GIS. We have an annual ESRI UC social. So if you can see behind me, that's San Diego. And every year we have a big ESRI conference there. And the day after the first day, we have a big social event. So we have a lot of GIS professionals, not only from the state of Texas, but from all over the world that attend that. We have user group meetings, we have conferences, and we have job postings. So if any of you students are looking for any jobs or any career moves, that's the place to go. So SCAUG is continually striving to provide GIS professionals in the region the most cost-effective and relevant training possible to all of our members. So we have purchased every SCAUG member an annual subscription to a full suite of training courses for a full year. Now, you can also actually join SCAUG by attending either the regional conference, which we were going to have pre-COVID in Grapevine, Texas, and it looks like we're going to have it there again. Or every year, Oklahoma has a Oklahoma SCAUG conference. It's a 1-2 day event that they have there. Or one thing we were looking at doing around here was to have some type of SCAUG training, and then you could have got a membership from there. But all this was like pre-COVID. So we're ramping up. We're getting ready for next year. We fear that the world's going to open up next year, especially with this vaccine. So just keep checking the website out. So you're saying, okay, what is the website you want me to check out? You want me to look at? Okay, well, it's easy. You can go to either SCAUG.org, SCAUG.com, SCAUG.net, SCAUG.info. You go to any one of those and get the same information. Also, you can go to our Facebook page. And Bill was talking about joining LinkedIn. You can go to our LinkedIn page. So all of the information is there for you. And a student membership is very, very inexpensive. Okay, so this is what I want you to do. I know this is short notice, but if you go to SCAUG.org and go to that link there is a short application that you can fill out for a scholarship for any undergrad or graduate student. The deadline for that scholarship is Friday. So if you can do it today or tomorrow or even Friday, then you get your name thrown in the hat we'll look over and read all these different applications with the names blacked out, and we'll pick somebody. Again, this is a personal thing for me because, again, the last 5 years, somebody from Oklahoma has won the scholarship because a lot of our students in the state of Texas don't apply for them. So please, please apply for that scholarship, and it's $1,500 that you can use. Also, there is a memorial scholarship for those GIS professionals who are looking to do some continuing education or going back to school to get their master's degree or bachelor's degree or whatever. That's $1,000, and the application deadline for that, again, is in January, Friday, January 22nd. So please, please, please apply for one of those, or if you need it, apply for both. But I really want you to apply. You know, it's personal to me. So this is the portion of the presentation where, if this was pre-COVID, we'd have all these activities that we're going to be doing at SCAUG. But unfortunately, during COVID, everything is virtual, and it's a good and a bad thing. You know, everybody's looking at me, but I don't see everybody else. Yesterday I did a presentation in Dallas and I turned myself off because I didn't want nobody to look at me. So, but as soon as we finish here today, I know Sarah has some activities for everybody to do. And if you have a chance at 5 o'clock, Texas GIS, they have a Texas GIS Day. The Texas group there in Austin is doing a state GIS event. And later this evening, they're having a virtual, I got this email here sent to me. They're having a virtual trivia night. I never do well at those, but from what I understand, there are some questions that are being given at on this virtual trivia night that has been on past GISP tests. So it'd be kind of a good thing if you want to go to that and kind of get an idea of what they're going to ask for that test. That's just what I was told now. So they're going to do that tonight. Okay, well, today we're doing the City of Lubbock's GIS Day event, and I'm so proud of Sarah for putting this on. When I was out there a couple of years ago, I had a blast. I told Sarah I hadn't really been to Lubbock much, and I just enjoyed coming out there. So I am certainly glad that she put this on. The City of DeSoto, they're actually supposed to be putting one on today at 2, but he's having some technical issues, so we're not going to put that up. So again, we were talking about the SCAUG conference. Like I said, we were supposed to be having it back in Grapevine because it's the 30th year that SCAUG existed. So it looked like it's going to be there again next year. But if you look at that map there, you can see all the places where we have had a conference. And Sarah, I'm going to challenge you for this. We need to do what we can to get one put up there in that little area up there where Lubbock is. So we need to have one up there. So as soon as this is over with and you got some time, maybe the first of the year, we can do some talking and we can see if we can get Lubbock thrown on this list because we need to get some up there. Again, all this is personal to me. I'm sorry. So that's the end of my presentation. I'm on LinkedIn. If anybody want to connect with me on that, that is my contact information. I do answer that phone. I have another phone I do not answer, but I do answer that one. So if you have any questions or any concerns, or I know yesterday someone asked me about the price of joining SCAUG. So I think it's like $30, $25, $30. It's really inexpensive. But you can go to the website just to make sure that I'm telling you something that's accurate. So at this time, I'll take any questions anybody may have.
Well, while we're waiting for questions to come in, thank you so much for telling us more about what SCAUG is and why it'd be good to join. Y'all should join. Like, it's awesome and we're actually having our first local chapter meeting tomorrow at 7 p.m. and it's virtual. So just grab onto the link. We're going to have the Zoom call posted tomorrow night closer to time, just so random people don't get a hold of it. So, but yeah, y'all should all come and join our first Lubbock SCAUG group.
I would love to attend. If you just send me a link, I would be more than happy to attend.
Oh, of course. And it's going to be fun. For this chapter, we have, we're going to have I actually forgot to pull up my notes of what we're doing. We're going to just kind of like get started, and it's like an icebreaker for everyone who's going to come. We'll just have like a little Kahoot game. And so that's going to be fun. Like, we'll get to really know each other. And then we're going to kind of talk about what the basic kind of plan is in the head for the next couple of months and what everyone else would like to get out of this group so we can start planning for it. And together, like, this is like a brand new baby. We can like kind of make it exactly kind of what we want. So everyone attend and bring your opinions, and I'd love to hear them. And we're also going to have some prize drawings. We're going to have a gift card for Sonic, and then we're also going to have a drawing for a ARC user, an ESRI license, personal use license. So definitely come and try to get one of those. So now look at the questions. Okay, so we have a question from Kyle. I'm not quite sure. I'm gonna read it out loud. You can like stop because I'm kind of confused by it, but you'll probably understand, Ron.
Okay.
He says, I can't currently help with the Red River rivalry petition. But would you accept someone from Little Rock? Oh, okay. I know what he's saying. Sorry. I was like, what competition is
Yeah, when he said Red River Rivalry, I got it. I know what he's talking about.
Would you accept someone from Little Rock, Arizona and SCAUG who's potentially thinking of moving to Central Texas in the near future?
Yes. That person counts.
Oh,
yes.
Arkansas. I'm sorry. I don't know my abbreviation.
No. You know, I went to college in Arkansas, and I've always said that when I retire, I'm going to move back there. But yes, Arkansas would count toward the Red River Rivalry, you know, especially if they're talking about moving here. So, yes, please, that individual can join. Yes.
Oh, perfect.
As a matter of fact, we have members from all over the country. We got a gentleman that's a member he's living in Puerto Rico. That's our furthest member. So we got a lot of members on the Northeast and actually in California. And come to find out that a lot of these individuals join SCAUG to have access to the free training and the discounts on the training. So you got quite a few that are, like I said, that are from outside of the state of Texas.
Well, he says thank you, so.
I just want to add that I will also be joining in this competition because I'm taking it personally as well, and so I'll encourage all fellow Texans to join. Yes.
Yeah, they throw it in my face every year at the Oklahoma SCAUG conference. They throw it up in my face. And
oh no.
Yeah, I don't want to go down like that. I told them not for long.
That's right.
The ranks are going to blow up now.
Yes. Well, I'll be here all day. So if you have any other questions you want to ask me, you can put it in the chat, or like I said, you can send it to me on LinkedIn, and I'll be sure to answer it. And if I don't know the answer, I guarantee you I will get you the answer, because I talk to the president just about every day. And so he always rubs it in my face every so often that they have more members than we do. So.
Well, I'll be good. I'm going to be glad for this, you know, this time next year, we'll blow it up in their faces. Be like, what?
Yeah.
Come Texas.
Exactly.
We'll be good. All right. Well, I guess if we're done with questions for right now, we've got a tiny little bit before the next presentation starts. So we'll take like a 5-minute break because she's in class right now. So we need to give her a little bit of time. So we'll just take a 5-minute break. I'll stop recording and we'll see y'all back in about 5-7 minutes. Thank y'all.
Yes.
Okay, and so we're gonna get started. So could everyone give me like a thumbs up if we're all back? Actually, let's see how. It looks like we got 5 people on. We'll give it just another second then. Oh, yeah, more people are on. Okay, well, we'll just go ahead and get started. And so this next presenter, she's actually in class right now. She's going to jump on for questions and answers between her classes. But she's already went ahead and provided a video for us to watch of her research. And then she'll be on in a bit to walk us through anything else that we would like to know about it. So this is Aicha Coulibaly, and she just recently graduated with her bachelor's in geoscience at Texas Tech University, and she's currently pursuing her master's at Baylor. And she's going to be talking to us this morning about her amazing app that she created in Dr. Griffith's GPS mapping class. So she can't see him right now, so you can save him for a bit, but we'll put our clap emojis together for Aicha. So if y'all can still see my video, here it goes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aicha Coulibaly, and I recently graduated from Texas Tech University with a Bachelor in Geosciences, and I'm currently a master's student at Baylor University. It's a real pleasure for me to present an app called iPark that I developed for a class project when I was at Tech. The presentation will be tailored on the simple approach used to build iPark, which is a parking GeoApp. I'm really hoping that this approach could also be used to build other type of useful GeoApp. So my motivation behind iPark was traffic congestion on game days. So we all know that during game days, the traffic is really congested on University Avenue because of tailgate gatherings and pedestrians walking. So my goal was to create a GeoApp that will benefit not only the Red Raider population, but also others, and minimize traffic congestion during game days, especially on University Avenue. And by building this app, this on-campus app, I could provide information about parking areas, free parking areas where people could park easily and minimize traffic congestion, and minimize also the long distance walk. So that was my motivation behind iPark. So those motivation and reason to build this app are important things to think about when you want to create a GeoApp. So first you have to brainstorm the different elements of the app and define a reasonable study area. And you also need to assess your tools and methods. You have to know which tools and methods you're going to be using. For example, I use my GIS skills. I use ArcMap, ArcGIS Online, and I also use my mobile phone. And so the goal for the app must be something that can be applicable to everyone also. And you know that you're going to have an audience for the app. So it has to be really relevant. And you have to evaluate how long it can remain relevant or usable, and exactly to whom it can be relevant, your audience. You have to know your audience. And here, my audience, the audience for iPark is not only the Red Raider population, but it is also the Lubbock population, because we know it's not only the students and the faculties and the staff of Texas Tech University that go to the football game, as even some people in the Lubbock area and the parents of the students that come to see the football game with their kids. So the audience is broad in this case. In this case, it's not only the Red Raider population, it's also others. So here my study area was inside the Texas Tech University, and I delimited my study area by using the buffer tool, which is on ArcMap, and delimitation is symbolized by the green line, and I use my center as a point located on the Jones AT&T Stadium, and the radius for my study area was about 0.6 miles. So that's how I delimited my study area. But in this area, as we can see, the circle can have like other off-campus areas, but I'm only gonna focus on the Texas Tech University areas, which fall into the Texas Tech University area. So that's my study area. So here again, to give more detail about my study area. So the Jones AT&T Stadium represents the key location of the project, since that's where the games are gonna happen, the football game. And The rural area has a radius of 0.6 miles, which is also 966 meters. And the center is the key location, which is the Jones AT&T Stadium. And like I said before, I use the buffer tool to delimitate my study area. And the study area is defined by the portion of the rural area on campus, which is on campus. And the parking areas represented by the hollow field and red borders polygon with the letter P inside. And I also have the label straight lines. And later I'm gonna say how I was able to put these straight lines into my map and my application. So I also use some geolocation settings to make my map on ArcMap. So first I created a geodatabase on ArcMap with 5 feature classes. And I had my key location, which is the Jones AT&T Stadium, which is the point on the Jones AT&T Stadium. So, and that was a point feature. And I had my parking feature class, which is a polygon feature class. So I had 28 polygons inside that feature class. And I have a street feature class, which is a polyline feature class, and study area feature class, which is a polygon also, and rural area feature class, which is represented by the green circle. And I set it my map and my projection coordinate system using a NIDE 1983 state plane, Texas North Central Phillips 4202. And I use that projection since it is a Lambert conformal conic projection to preserve the shape. So why would I want to preserve the shape? Because the principal elements of the project are the parking areas. And the shape must be consistent with the reality to show how many vehicles each parking area can accommodate. So that was my reason to set the projection coordinate using that Lambert conformal conic projection. And so to do my map, I use an OpenStreetMap base map, since that base map is more updated and precise with the parking areas than the other base maps. So I use that base map, and that's how I created my feature classes. So I created a point feature using the editing tool. I use the editing tool to create my features. So I created my point feature for the key location feature class. And I also applied the buffer to create my my study area feature class and my raw area feature class. Then I was also able to find the parking and create the parking feature class where I have my 28 parkings. Those are polygons, so 28 polygons or parkings. So after editing these feature classes using the editing tool on ArcMap, and I had my geodatabase organized. So I needed some street feature classes. That was just a choice. So I wanted to add some straight lines. So what I did, I just went on the Department of GIS and Data Services of the city of Lubbock, where I downloaded the street centerline shapefile, and I used that shapefile to have my street feature class on in my geodatabase and on my map. So this process resulted in a total of 5 feature classes, all manually created except the straight polyline feature class. So I also added some final basic information on the map to get a presentable and useful map. Then I saved the map document. So always save your map document. So I saved my map document and keep the map document open. So then I needed to publish the map as a feature service on ArcGIS Online. So what I did, always on ArcMap, I click on File, then Share, then Service, and it was then published. But before doing that, remember to remove the base. I remember to remove the base map since the map document cannot be published with the base map. And that's how my map looked like on ArcMap after adding my after making my map presentable. Then I also have here a table of content and a representation of my geodatabase, an image of my geodatabase, and you know, my 28 polygon from the parking feature class. So on ArcGIS Online, so once I published the map into ArcGIS Online, I went into the setting to enable the attachment for all features, which is really important. Then I also allowed the feature to be editable. Then I copied the feature service ID to modify the quick report setting on App Studio. And I went on Map View and copied the item ID found at the end of the web map URL to modify the map viewer setting on App Studio. Then I made some final editing just for aesthetic purposes. So that's the step for App Studio now. On App Studio, so if you don't know how to get App Studio is an app that you can also get on, I think, on ArcGIS Online, I think. But okay, so on App Studio, I use 2 kind of templates. So I use Quick Report and I use Map Viewer template. So my experience with Quick Report wasn't really effective because I ended up using Map Viewer for my final version of iPark. So on Quick Report, I just signed in to App Studio Desktop first, and I clicked on New App and chose my template, which is Quick Report. And I click on Create, and I went to Setting to modify the title, the summary, the description, and all that, just to make my application presentable. Then I added the feature service to link my my map on ArcGIS Online and the GeoApp on App Studio, the dative app on App Studio. And I applied all my changes and editing. Then I uploaded the app. For Map Viewer, it is basically the same, but except adding a future service address. For Map Viewer, it requires a valid item ID of the web map from ArcGIS Online, which can be found at the end of the URL. So this was my final iPark version, where I used the Map Viewer template. And I'm gonna play a video screenshot of the app. So this is basically how it looks on the native app. I have my polygon, I have my study area, and I have my features, which shows distance, square meters. And there's also a geolocator on the app, which is which shows the location of the user on the app when enabled. And if you click on the feature in the study you can get the information that are displayed, like the distance, the square meter. The distance is the distance from the parking to the key location, which is the Jones AT&T study, the Jones AT&T Stadium. And I also have the street lines that provide a route to the user from its location to the stadium. And like I said, I use the map viewer template, but that has a little issue, which is it cannot crowdsource. So once you upload all the information from ArcGIS Online to the native app, so you cannot add any other data. So it is only informative instead of being a native app to crowdsource. So it decreases the opportunity of crowdsourcing. I'm going to give a brief analysis and discussion and the literature reviews on what I did for iPark, the little research that I did about like parking, GeoApp. So here I saw I noticed some ideas about parking. So from these literature reviews, I was able to identify the influence of mobile data in the collection of data, or even the use of the application, the native app. So it is important to know that without the mobile data, we cannot use the application, because the application cannot be offline, cannot be used offline. And because the mobile data is the most important element to get the app to work. So knowing that we have AGPS, and the AGPS is the DGPS employed in the mobile phone, so it helps transmit corrections of the signal received by the mobile app, And also the distance between the mobile device used to use the application is also important. The distance between the mobile and the cell tower. And if you have weaker signal, so it's gonna be, you're gonna have like more errors on the app. And with strong signal, it can be, you can receive accurate location. And here again about GPS signal quality. So the geolocation satellite information here is provided by the GPS test app, which is available on Google Play Store. And from a paper of Bajaj and others, it was said that augmented GPS employed in mobile phones provides accuracy within less than 50 feet for outside use. So from this, we can deduct that the application, the application app iPark is preferable to use it outside than use it like in places that in inside places. So the phone that I used when making the trial for the application for my native app was using an AT&T network with a PDOP of 2.5 and the time to first fix of 8 seconds, which was given by me by the GPS test app. And those are all good PDOP and time to first fix. And so we have to notice that the correlation between the service signal and the errors shown on the app. So if we have like higher signal, we have lower error. So here the error is shown by the green at the bottom of the map. So we have that green background where we have the numbers, 39.4 feet. So this is a good number, meaning that there is a higher signal. So this is a lower error. So this was a real good experience for me, and I came up with some conclusion about the tools that I use. So I was able to notice that iPark can be really helpful to document the parking areas on the Texas Tech University campus. And I was only able to use basic settings because this is a simple approach. So, and I also use accessible tools like ArcMap, ArcGIS Online, App Studio, and a mobile phone, of course. And this project was also an opportunity to compare the efficiency of two App Studio templates, which is Quick Report and Map Viewer. And the Map Viewer template was found to be more efficient, and even if it has some editing restraints, because Quick Report is just an app that is good to go hunt for points. It doesn't support lines and polygons. So Map Viewer is the best if you have a project to do an app that needs polygons and polylines. So the issue about Map Viewer is that it doesn't allow editing after you upload the map and information and the app on App Studio. So for future works, if really possible, I will really like to add some more details to the features. So to be able to significantly minimize traffic congestions, because I think it's gonna be important for the future. And I would also like to address the possibilities of crowdsourcing, because it's always more efficient to have people adding more data instead of always going to hunt for the data by yourself. So that would be something to envision for the future. And yeah, it was really great to present about iPark. So I thank you for listening, and again, happy GIS Day. Thank you.
All right, so that was her presentation, and she just did an amazing job, and she's on now. So hi, Aicha, if you want to unmute yourself or maybe share. Oh, there you are.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, everyone.
So I'm going to go ahead and, well, I guess everyone can see you, right? If you, yeah, so we're good. So does anyone have any questions? We have a couple of comments already that I'll go off and read. Griffith is saying that he loves the app and you need to make one that pinpoints tailgates that typically hand out free beer.
Oh, that should be a plan.
And what dog smell? He says one for free food. And people enjoyed it. So Vaughn and Vaughn both said that was a very good presentation.
Thank you.
So do you have any questions? I know I have one. So are you going to make this like available for people to download?
For now, I think that it's a little bit premature to make it a public app, since I'm thinking of adding some more features and making it more efficient for the purpose, for the goal. So I'm gonna say no for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a kind of ETA of when we might eventually see it with your cool new additions?
Ooh. Hopefully, let's say before I finish my master's.
Well, your master's is super important, so you definitely need to focus on that.
Yeah.
All right, so, and is there any other questions? And I know from experience, while people are still kind of formulating, that making the phone apps is very, it's not as hard as actually building one from scratch from coding, but it's definitely, there's a lot of work that goes into it. I did one once and it's definitely not shared, and it was not good, and yours was amazing. So thank you for all that work. It's really, there's a lot to it. So
thank you, Sarah.
Jennifer says, very cool. And Amanda says, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer and Amanda.
All right, I guess with that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up, and thank you again for your time and all the work you did to make this happen, and we do eventually wanna see it live, so. All right, so then we're gonna go ahead and Kathleen Clancy, she's got a presentation for us. She's a solutions engineer at ESRI and has been helping out local governments in Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Mississippi for the past 2 years. And so she's going to guide us through ways to optimize our field experience work. So let's welcome Kathleen Clancy. I cannot talk, I'm so sorry. So.
Hi everyone, can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Perfect, all right. Jack Dangerman can hear me loud and clear. Fantastic. All right. So like Sarah said, my name is Kathleen Clancy. I am a solution engineer based out of the San Antonio regional office. So we are, here to support Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Mississippi. And I'm here today. I've got a presentation. Let me see if I can get this shared. See if it'll. Okay. I think I can just take over the screen share. So yes, it looks like it's gonna let me. Okay. All right, can y'all see my screen? Leveraging field apps for field operations? Fantastic, that's what I wanna hear. All right, so like Sarah said, I'm here today to talk about field work and field operations, and it's actually a perfect talk to follow the last one where we were talking about apps for mobile devices and how we can use those out in the field. And we've actually had a lot of changes at ESRI to our field operations suite and our field applications. So I'm happy to be here today and kind of get to share that information with y'all. So when we talk about field operations, it starts with ArcGIS. If that's ArcGIS Online, ArcGIS Enterprise, ArcGIS is the backbone of everything that we're connecting to. And when we think about field operations, there's a lot of phases to doing work in the field. You have to plan it, you have to get to it, you have to understand where you are in relation to other things around you, you have to collect the data that you're actually there to collect, if you're back in the office, you want to monitor and know where workers are, what the status of data collection is, and you want to coordinate all of that. And that's a lot to keep track of. But we actually have, as part of the ArcGIS platform, apps for every single one of these phases. Now, for those of y'all who have seen our field applications before, you might notice that there's a new icon on there, and one of your favorite icons is missing. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but we do have, right now we currently have 5 applications. It will be less in the future, but one of the great things is you can actually pair all of these applications to enhance your workflows. You can actually use more than one application. You can collect data in Survey 123 or field maps and see that back in the office on an operations dashboard. Or you can plan those activities through Workforce and then have those field activities be performed. You can navigate to them, or you can collect data in Survey 123 or field maps. You can use both maps and forms in Survey 123 and field maps. There's lots of ways of going about doing this, including creating a custom application like we were seeing in the previous presentation. So using App Studio, or even starting from scratch and creating your own custom coded application that interacts with the field suite. So there's a lot of ways that you can enhance your workflows by using more than one app. Now, a lot of you who have used our field applications before are probably going, where's Collector? And what is this field maps thing? So previously, we have created all of these targeted applications that did one thing. And I don't know about y'all, but if you're like me and you have all those applications, that's a lot of applications. I actually have multiple pages in my group on my iPhone of just ESRI field applications. So we're trying to make that easier and streamline that for everyone, hence ArcGIS Field Maps. ArcGIS Field Maps was just released out of beta last month, so the first release came in October. It is our new premier field application, and it will eventually incorporate all of the capabilities of ArcGIS Explorer, ArcGIS Collector, ArcGIS Workforce, ArcGIS Navigator, and ArcGIS Tracker. At its current stage, now Workforce and Navigator are not part of that app yet. They will be. So we're moving away from having those 5 separate apps to one app where you don't have to switch back and forth. So if you're navigating to where you need to go to collect your data, you don't have to then leave Navigator and go to Collector. It's all in the same app, trying to make everyone's life easier. Now, there are some of our applications that are going to remain standalone apps because they are specialized. Survey 123, Quick Capture, Mission Responder, Indoors, and Earth will remain standalone apps. But we're going from 10 apps to 6. So saving some space and some memory on everyone's mobile application and making it easier just to navigate between those workflows. So let's talk a little bit more about field maps and how it exists today. So field maps today allows you to view your maps anywhere, to perform inspections and collect data, and to enable location tracking. And for those of you keeping score at home, those are the capabilities of ArcGIS Explorer, ArcGIS Collector, and ArcGIS Tracker. So those 3 apps currently, the capabilities of those 3 apps are currently part of ArcGIS Field Maps. What does that mean for those 3 apps? Well, at some point in the future, we will retire them. And that doesn't mean that they'll necessarily go away. And if you're using Collector today, you don't have to change anything to start using Field Maps. You just open that Collector project in Field Maps. So there's nothing to change. There's nothing new that you have to do. But now there's a single application that allows you to do all 3 of those things in one. So right now, Field Maps allows you to view maps offline. So this is ArcGIS, what previously was the capabilities of ArcGIS Explorer. It allows you to find those maps, look at the pop-ups, get information, basically understand where you are in the field, and add markup. So ArcGIS Explorer always allowed the creation of markup layers. Now you can create and share those markup layers through ArcGIS Field Maps. ArcGIS Collector was has always been one of our premier apps, especially for high accuracy data collection. Like I said, if you're using Collector today, you don't have to change anything to start using field maps. You just open that Collector project in Field Maps. Field Maps does support that high accuracy data collection, just like Collector. It also supports inspections, both in non-versioned and versioned workflows, and if you're using Enterprise 10.8.1, you can actually use offline branch versioning in ArcGIS Field Maps. It does also have new smart form capabilities. So to make it easier, you can create pick lists and required fields that have to be filled out when people are collecting data in ArcGIS Field Maps. So a great way to really keep your data consistent as it's being collected. Also, it includes location tracking. So just like ArcGIS Tracker, this is an additional license. You do have to have that tracker license as part of your user type. So if your user type has a tracker license, this capability will be available to you in Field Maps. If not, you don't have to worry about it. You just won't see it. But it is something so you don't have to turn on Tracker and then go to Navigator to find where you're going and then open Collector to collect your data. Now it's in one app. So trying to make everyone's lives easier out in the field, having to switch back and forth between the apps can get very cumbersome. But like I said, location tracking is one of those components that's there today. Now, on the back side of the house, to plan and to prepare to use field maps, we have a web component. And this web app is available right now, but it will be getting an update with the December release of ArcGIS Online, which is scheduled for December 8th. So with that December update, it will be part of that app launcher in ArcGIS Online or portal, ArcGIS portal. It will allow you to configure and deploy all of the things that you need to use in the mobile version of Field Maps, including managing offline areas, offline maps, all of that, previewing forms, sharing and deploying, all of that will be managed through the web app. And the web app is actually bringing in some new capabilities. One of those is feature templates, so being able to really configure the types of features, the name, the symbol, the description, values, things like that for data collection to make data collection easier in the field because you'll be able to apply those default values and those templates. And then also smart forms. And so smart forms are a new way. And when we talk about smart forms, and this can get confusing, but when we talk about smart forms, this is slightly different from the smart form capabilities of Survey 123, ArcGIS Survey 123. These forms are really to allow you to simplify the field editing experience. They will be included, you will be able to create and edit those attributes and include them in the web map specification for projects in ArcGIS Field Maps. And one of those things that will allow you to convert pop-ups to forms or organize your attributes in groups, qualifying required fields. So making sure that not only is that the field is required, but that people are entering the correct type of data into that field, things like that. So to really make that data collection out in the field as streamlined as possible and as easy as possible, and to really help QA/QC our data as it's coming in from the field. So that's Field Maps as it is today. Like I said, it incorporates ArcGIS Explorer, ArcGIS Collector, and ArcGIS Tracker. In the future, it will incorporate ArcGIS Workforce and ArcGIS Navigator. Currently, they are still standalone apps, but in future releases, these capabilities will be incorporated into that Field Maps. So with ArcGIS Workforce, this really allows you to plan and coordinate your fieldwork, basically to create assignments and send those to your mobile workforce to understand where your mobile workforce is, who's working, who's on break, who's not working, so that you can understand who you have available to do assignments, who has what assignments, and really just help you to plan and coordinate your mobile workforce. And so there's two components of ArcGIS Workforce as well, similar to Field Maps. There is the mobile application that is basically the to-do list for your mobile workers. It gives them their assignments. Where do they need to go? What do they need to do? On the screen, you can see, for example, this is a hydrant inspection. So they need to go to that hydrant and inspect it. Workforce can currently launch other apps. So if that inspection is done through Collector or Survey 123, you can actually set this up so that when they accept and start that assignment, it launches the other app at that place with that data collection that they need to do. Again, in the future, when this is part of field maps, you won't have to launch into Collector or Navigator or Explorer. Those will all be in the same app. Survey 123 will continue to be a standalone. But this can give you your mobile workforce not only more details about what they need to do, but also you can provide PDFs and photos and other documentation so that when they're out in the field, they have everything they need to complete their work in their mobile device. Mobile workers can also broadcast their working status. So say you're working in the morning and then noon comes and it's time to take your lunch break. You can say, hey, I'm on break, so that if an emergency comes up, they know you're not available. You're not really working right now. You're taking your lunch. So on the kind of the backside of the house in the office, you have the dispatcher view, and this allows you to create those projects, to review work assignments, to create work assignments, and then to assign them or reassign them and control who has what assignments out in the field. So if, for instance, you've got 5 people working out in the field, one of them's on break, one of them has their assignment, their first assignment, it was supposed to be an easy inspection, it's turned into a big overhaul, and they have 3 other assignments, and your other 3 workers are almost done with the end of theirs, you can take those and reassign them to your other 3 workers, really to help you balance everyone's workload. It allows you to see where they are on the map, where their last known location was on the map, and where they are in relation to assignments or to tickets or problems or things that are being reported and coming in. Creating those work assignments, you can create it from an existing asset. So if it's an inspection, you can say, I want you to inspect this hydrant. Click on that hydrant and bring in that data from that hydrant as part of that assignment, or you can just create a new assignment from scratch. All sorts of different details that you can put into that assignment as far as priority and due date. If you have a work order management system and it's got an ID, you can connect that in. So lots of different ways that you can configure this. And you can administer that whole project. So whether or not, who the dispatchers are, who the mobile workers are, what their contact information is, so that if you do need to get a hold of someone out in the field, all of that is done through this web-based application on the office side of the house. Navigator is the other application that we have that will be incorporated into Field Maps, but is currently a standalone app. And you can think of Navigator as kind of a Google Maps or an Apple Maps or a Waze, but with more capabilities. At its very basic, it is basically a Google Maps or an Apple Maps or Waze. You type in a destination using our road network, basically a here Google provided road network, and say, in this case, I want to go to Disneyland, get me there. Here's your route and you follow it. The way most of our customers and users use Navigator is using that basic road network, but navigating to their own data. So if you are doing an inspection on a hydrant and you want to navigate to that hydrant, you can actually use that and use your own data and say, I want to navigate to this specific point, get me there from where I am. And one of the great, really cool use cases of Navigator is the ability to create your own road network for networks that aren't mapped by companies like Here or Google, or roads that are never going to have those smart cars drive down them and map them out. You can actually create that network yourself and navigate on that network through Navigator. So it is really cool. Additionally, if you want your mobile workers to follow specific routes, if say for instance it's a collection and you're saying, I need you to stop at these 5 points, this is the route I want you to follow, you can actually create that route in ArcGIS Pro or in ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise, upload that route into Navigator, and then they can have that route to follow using Navigator. So again, Navigator and Workforce at some point in the future will become part of Field Maps. So it'll be one map or one app with 5 apps worth of capabilities. So hopefully streamlining everyone's app collection on their phone and making life a little bit easier for those in the field actually collecting data. But two of our field applications I'm going to cover today will not be incorporated into field maps, and one of those is Survey 123. Survey 123 was designed to really be a simple form-based data collection tool. It is both native on the mobile as well as a web-based. So you can answer it, say you don't have the app downloaded on your phone, you can still open that survey in the web browser on your mobile device. And when you think of Survey 123, think of the forms, think of the paper things that you have to fill out. If you're filling out a form, be it a fillable PDF or an actual piece of paper, Survey 123 is your go-to. Basically, it allows you to make those forms smart. Again, we talk about data quality. You're reducing errors because you're giving them the choices for that. If you're saying, you're reducing the errors of having someone download a piece of paper, handwrite into it, pass it to someone else who's going to type it into the database. Things like that. With Survey 123, they answer their survey online, and that data is immediately real-time available in your ArcGIS, in either on ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise. We have two forms of doing this. The base of it, though, is a drag and drop survey creator. So similar to using Google Forms or SurveyMonkey or anything like that, you don't need to know any coding. It has analytics built into it, so you can immediately open that analytics tab and see who's responded, what those responses are. You can see those in various chart types and forms and get lots of information without having to pull that into another program to do those analytics. And it allows you to really replace those paper-based workflows. So when you think about it, a lot of us have websites where we've got links to fillable PDFs or forms for download and hand filling out. Instead, you could embed a survey and they could fill it out right there and you would have all that information. It's also really great for crowdsourcing and citizen science because surveys can be shared publicly. So you can open that survey up to the public and let anyone fill that out. And this has been used a lot for those crowdsourcing and citizen science type of projects. And then finally, we see this not just for emergency response and public safety, but we see this paired a lot with ArcGIS dashboards because and not just Survey 123 probably more than our other apps, but any app could be paired with ArcGIS dashboards to really get that administrative picture of what data has been collected, where it's been collected, what those attributes are, all of that information in a single shot. Finally, ArcGIS Quick Capture is the other app that is not going to be incorporated into ArcGIS Field Maps. It will remain a standalone app. And this is our simple big button at-speed data collection app. This is really, it was designed for at-speed data collection for windshield assessments, for driving down the road and hitting a button and collecting that data. Additionally, aerial surveys and inspections use this a lot. And the great thing about this is you don't have to understand how to collect data in GIS to use Quick Capture. Quick Capture is designed by your GIS specialist back in the office, but the mobile application is just like this. It's a bunch of buttons. It's really easy to collect that data. We find this is really useful and used a lot in things like emergency response and public safety, where they don't have time to necessarily go through a survey and answer a lot of questions. They just need to be able to hit a button and send that data off. It's also really great if you're introducing field applications to your organization because you can introduce this easy to use big button app and then start working into some of the more sophisticated data collection metrics with Survey 123 and field maps. So how do you license these field maps or these field apps, including field maps? So they are licensed through our user types. Field maps is actually, this slide is a little misleading. Field maps, the viewing capabilities of ArcGIS Explorer are available to all 5 of the user types, the viewer, editor, field worker, creator, and GIS professional. They can explore those maps. They can log in and see what maps have been made available. The editor you can add on to the editor field maps, Quick Capture, Survey 123, Workforce, all of those capabilities can be added on, but they are an additional purchase for the editor. The field worker comes with everything and those basic core apps, those 4 core apps to use to do data collection in the field, as does the creator and the GIS professional. So those three user types have field maps, quick capture, survey 123, and workforce. They have those capabilities. That's part of their user type. Additionally, the field worker and above, the field worker, creator, and GIS professional, you can add on those premium licenses of Navigator and Tracker to unlock additional capabilities. And I know that that was a lot of information to cover, but we actually have a new site completely devoted to field operations and all of these apps and all of their capabilities at esri.com/fieldapps. So you can go to that website, or you can go to esri.com, go to products, capabilities, and field operations, and get all of that information and more. Resources, tutorials, demos, all sorts of information. And your Esri account team, we're always here to answer questions, to help answer any questions you may have about these field operations. And with that, let's actually answer some questions. I saw the chat blinking. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to let me know, and we're happy to answer questions right now.
I just have a comment. I went ahead and downloaded it. I downloaded it and opened up the cemetery collector job that we have going on for this event, and it looks really great.
Great.
Yeah,
yes, that was one of our biggest concerns internally when we first heard about field maps is, what about all of our people who are using collector? Are they going to have to reconfigure things? And so no, the fact that you can just open your collector projects in field maps and get going, 2 thumbs up from us, and I'm assuming 2 thumbs up from everyone who's using collector currently as well.
Yeah, when you were talking, I downloaded it too so I could play around with it. I was like, what? So.
Yes, and because it is brand new, we have lots of blog posts and things like that about it as well. And you know, we understand that we change things periodically, and everybody's like, oh, new, okay, how does this work? So please feel free, reach out to your account team, let us know if you have questions. We're always happy to provide y'all with resources.
We do have a question in the comments.
Yes.
Fox says, will there be real-time messaging function in field maps so that dispatchers and field workers can communicate through the app?
Currently, that is not on the plan. That is part of ArcGIS Mission, which is a separate standalone product that has a field app capability as part of it, where we do have that one-to-one messaging capability and the ability to save that. But currently, it's not on the plan to integrate into field maps. That could change. If you want to see capabilities like that, we do actually have a site, ideas.arcgis.com, which is where you can go and tell us what you want to see. That's where our product teams go to see what people need in the applications and the products. So you can always go and submit that as an idea. It's basically our comment box of what y'all need. So. And then I see, will drone to map be integrated eventually? No, drone to map will continue to be a standalone. At least as of now, that is the plan, is drone to map will continue to be standalone.
Well, I've actually got a question, because you're saying that this app can handle versioning. So I did not know any of that. And right now, one of the field things I have, it's just static data that I pull into our current versioning system. So what resources to get this version so the field workers, you know, get more faster results?
Yes, definitely. So we actually, all of our field applications, including field maps, we have lots of resources in the documentation, and that's usually the best place to go, because we do actually have step-by-steps for what you need to do to set up some of those things. Like with versioning, you know, you have to make sure everything is set up on the enterprise side before you create things to be used in the application. But yeah, so you can definitely, that's a great resource. Or if you have questions, always reach out to us here at Esri, and we can provide you with other additional resources for sure.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just another comment. This would have been super useful when I was working in the oil field. There were so many oil roads and like dirt roads and mesquite fields that I went through that I was just like, Is this right?
Yes, that's actually the oil fields for Navigator is probably oil fields, at least here in Texas, that's where we see our biggest use case of that, you know, unique road network, because they have lots of roads that are never going to be mapped by Google or here or any of the other mapping companies, but they need to navigate them. So having that ability to bring in your own road network is actually a really great, we see that a lot with a lot of the oil and gas companies. Well, thank y'all so much for letting me come and present and talk at you today. And again, like I said, you know, if you have questions later on or want other information, please let us know. We're always here. So
thank you so much. This was an amazing presentation, and I'm excited to play around more with this because I didn't know about it, and now it's kind of be my new project. So
great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, well, we'll let you go and head off to the rest of your GIS day. We do have one more presentation. I don't think she's on yet. Is Ahna Miller on one of these phone numbers? No, so she's actually scheduled to be on in a couple of minutes. So I think she might just be getting on. So we can take like a 5-minute break, and we'll see you in just a minute. Thank you.
Oh. Apologies, it's throwing it onto the wrong screen. Just a moment.
Because it's being, you know, it's videotaped. So that's always when it does it.
Of course, go figure, right? Okay, let's try this one more time.
Yeah, I have 3 screens, and the tool just kept moving between them earlier, and I was like, where is my tools?
Right. Okay. Are you all able to see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for the invite to come and share with you today. Too terribly much of your time. But my name is Ahna Miller. I'm the current president for Women in GIS, and we're extremely excited to be invited to wish you a very mappy GIS day today. Just a bit about our organization. We are a 501c6 international professional and social advocacy group for women and their allies, where all genders are welcome. And our aim is to help our members start and navigate their geospatial careers, serve as a safe place for women from all geospatial fields to work towards overcoming job discrimination, lower pay, professional isolation, and other common barriers we might face. And we do this by fostering relationships and resource sharing among our members and other institutions. And this is all done through the hard work of some of our committees. Here's just a quick look at our board of directors for this year. And so just a little bit about the work of our committees. We have our communications committee, who's in charge of putting out a quarterly newsletter, as well as manages our job listserv, where we're able to share any job opportunities to anyone that's up on the job listserv, and any jobs are welcome. We'll have groups that will send us lists of jobs occasionally as they're looking, especially to target women in their workplace. We also do so managing a social media presence, our website, and then they're also our liaison to our local chapters. And through the work of these chapters, we're able to really get this networking component in the local communities, so that women are hopefully overcoming that professional isolation a little bit more and able to connect with each other. Our interview and spotlight committee works to shine a spotlight on women that we see working and succeeding in GIS to really tell their stories. We have a map development committee that manages our Women in GIS membership story maps, as well as other story maps highlighting our Women in GIS programs. And we have a mentorship program, and through this program, We Connect, you can actually serve as both a mentor and a mentee. And if you are a mentee, you can actually go in and choose your own mentor. You can do this based on geography, or we also have filters set up. So if you're looking specifically for a fellow woman who's maybe having experience in Python skills or in the public sector, you can specifically filter out the different mentors and choose which one actually fits the interests that you're looking to build upon. And in participating through this, you can also earn GIS points as a volunteer, or if any of our committees, we can also write you a letter to help to earn some GISP points. And then we have an internal affairs committee who works with our sponsorship, general membership, finances, and elections, and everything in between. And then our professional development committee works really hard to put on any of our events, our panels, webinars, workshops, run our awards. We have a list and recordings of all of our 2020 events. Just recently, we were really excited to bring in Rebecca Jones to speak about ethics in GIS. She's been really big in the news recently as the whistleblower from Florida who was being requested to change COVID data in order to promote a certain story within Florida. So it's super interesting hearing from her. And we do have a recording available for that one as well. We have a couple of upcoming webinars coming into early 2021. Helen Thompson from ESRI will be speaking to us about infographics and analytics. And Dr. Maria Fadiman, who is an ethnobotanist and also uses geography in her work. So we're really excited to hear about some of these different careers that are not necessarily specifically GIS professionals, but using GIS in their work, which is very exciting. And then we also have a series of GIS career stories that we're learning from. Coming up in December, we're excited to speak with Emma Hall about her work in environmental science and GIS. And then coming into 2021, we're looking at nonprofit creation stories, as well as an event looking at starting a GIS career firm and a consulting firm. And we'll have a few others in between as well. Just a few things. We do have a couple pros of our membership. Obviously, we've listed a few, and there are plenty of volunteer and elected position opportunities. So if any of these things really speak to you and you'd like to come work with Women in GIS or volunteer for us, we'd love to have you. Please feel free to reach out to us. And not to mention, you'll get some geo-professional memories to last a lifetime. In addition to all of this, we're really excited to be able to offer 20% off courses with teachmegis.com, which is a predominantly women-run organization. So we're really excited to be partnering with them right now. And our membership levels, we have a couple of different levels: early career professional or student, $20, professional at $40. And then we can also offer organizational membership, where you can bundle up to 10 memberships together. And then sponsorship as well, where we'd be happy to put your logo in our newsletter and website based on your sponsorship level. We do have a few open volunteer opportunities. I won't necessarily read all of these off, but if any of you are interested in working with our YouTube, professional development, ArcGIS Online story maps especially, and then anything with fundraising, sponsorships, scholarships, we're really looking to keep beefing up the amount that we can put back into our organization to provide back to our members. Aside from that, thank you all so much for having me. If you'd like to be in touch with us, you can see our website at womeningis.org. Take a look at our social media, connect with us on Twitter and Instagram at womeningis, and then you can also reach us via email at admin@womeningis.org. I can open it up for questions if you'd like, Sarah, but if not, that's everything I have.
No, questions would be great. So, well, we're letting for everyone to think and get them processed. Thank you so much for being here. And we are actually starting our Women's in GIS chapter here. Our first meeting is December 3rd at 7 p.m. and it is virtual. So if you just go to our hub for GIS Day, the link will be there the day of, just so that way we don't get random people getting hold of the link. So be sure to save that in your planner and join us for our first meeting. And our first meeting is going to be amazing because it's the first one and y'all can all be part of this brand new thing. Again, we're going to have just a little get to know everyone who's going to be there. So we're going to have, we're going to play 2 truths and a lie and try just to kind of get to know how everyone, and we're going to talk about kind of the goals we want for our chapter, where we want it to head, and it's like some of the plans we already kind of have planned out, and if those need to change or not. And we're also going to have some raffles, or not raffles, I guess drawings. We're going to have some drawings for a Sonic gift card and for a ArcGIS personal use license. So definitely come in and participate in that. So
very cool.
So are there any other questions? I'll make sure my text is open. Getting thank yous. Oh, we're getting asked, I was wondering if mentors have multiple mentees or just more info on how that works.
Oh, sure. Good question. So it really depends, and it's up to you as a mentor. So since we don't purposefully pair a mentor with a mentee, it's up to the mentee to reach out to you as a mentor. So you could at any point get a few reaching out to you if you're a really exciting mentor and multiple mentees want to work with you, but it's up to you. We actually put that in the stipulation where you can always choose to turn it down if you're overwhelmed at work at the moment or not able to take on more than one mentee at a time, or don't want to take on any mentees at the time that they've reached out to you. So that's really up to you. But if you would like to, I mean, feel free, you can have up to 5 at a time. And we do have our sort of guidelines to walk people through the process of signing up to be a mentor as well as signing up to be a mentee on our website as well.
Oh, perfect. Well, I think I'm definitely going to sign up to be a mentee.
Awesome. We would love that. Perfect. Any other questions? I don't see anything chat-wise or anything, so I think we're okay.
Well, again, thank you for helping speak to us about why this organization is amazing. And so I'm hoping that everyone joins, especially our department's predominantly women. So
awesome. That's wonderful. And if we can do anything to help promote your chapter through our website and our social media channels, feel free to send anything our way and we'd be happy to include it as well.
Oh, perfect. When I make the link, I'll send that out.
Sounds great.
Well, thank you so much again. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your GIS map day.
Thank you very much. Same to you. Happy GIS Day to everybody. Thanks so much for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm going to share my screen real quick. Okay, so, see my screen? Okay, so again, if y'all would just go to our hub for everything, this is where on the new organizations, this is the SCAUG and Women in GIS. So that way everyone can kind of, we have one place to find all the information we need. And the Zoom details will be up here those days. Also, if for whatever reason you weren't able to make it to a certain presentation or you want to rewatch one of them, all of these are going to be posted up later on YouTube, and then I'll put them up here so that way you can go back and watch what you need to. So thank all of y'all for participating in the GIS Day. And it's not over yet. The presentations are done, but there's still more to come. And so I just blanked out. So our GIS field is like an ever-growing and changing field, and it was so amazing to hear all these other presenters talk about like their specific parts of GIS and what they do. There's so many different useful applications for real-world problems and issues, and all the support out there. So it's just such an amazing community to be in. As technologies and programs, techniques continue to evolve, we must be ready to learn and to grow with them. Events like this are just one way that we in GIS field can stay current and hone our skills. Thank you for your eagerness to better your knowledge of what is possible in the world of GIS. And we hope that there was something here today that inspired you to go out and make the world a better place. And so another essential part of GIS work is going out into the field, collecting data and working with mapping systems. So we have some amazing tools to our disposal now that we just learned about even in our presentations today that we're going to go out and use to go help the world and go collect these headstone locations. So starting now, kind of until going through Sunday, we're going to go out into the City of Lubbock Cemetery and go find the headstones. So again, on this website and collection event, there is how-to information and how to log in. And the one thing is the video, when I recorded initially, everything was white and green. But we realized in the field, it was kind of hard to differentiate and kind of tell where we were going. So now it is pink and black because the pink stands out really strong against the grass. And so hopefully it'll make it a lot easier being out in the field, not better able to tell where you are. So as a reminder for everyone going out in the field, it is going through the weekend. So you can just log in anytime you want. Just make sure that you sign in before everything starts, do all your mapping, and then sign out, just so that way I can kind of keep track of like how many hours are being spent, so I can send that information back to you. And we also have three personal use licenses to give away for people who are participating in this event. So if you want one of those, licenses, just put it in the sign in. There's like a little option to say, yes, I would like to be put in the drawing for that. And then we'll give those away at the end of Sunday. And then all of that information will again be posted on here, who the winners are, and then an email will be sent to y'all with how to receive that. And we do want this to be a Lubbock safe event. So remember to mask up when you're around others and to follow recommended health safety practices in the field. This includes proper social distancing, face masks, and common sense. And if you're feeling ill or having other symptoms of COVID virus, we'd ask you to stay home and make an appointment to get tested and practice proper self-quarantine procedures, because no use spreading things if you think you have it. It's been a rough year, but by following these rules together, we can ensure that we'll all be Lubbock safe. And we also ask that when you're out in the field to be considerate of those visiting the cemetery for personal reasons. If there is a service underway, please avoid that area. Don't collect there, just avoid it. And we'll get back to it eventually when there's not people there, but we don't want to be disrespectful to anyone. So thank y'all all for participating in Lubbock GIS Day 2020, and we'll hope to see y'all out in the field waving and